Hey guys, welcome back to my ASMR channel. We're looking a mess today, but let's just ignore that. I have my cup of water here that says today is going to be a good day, so hopefully it will be. Gotta get hydrated. I've been having headaches lately, so maybe I need to drink more water. Maybe it's the weather doing its thing. I don't know. But yeah, in today's video, we're gonna be doing what I've been watching ramble about some movies, TV shows, etc. from Netflix, HBO, or is this just Netflix? Actually, I think for once this is gonna be an only Netflix what I've been watching, which is wild because normally it's like HBO, Hulu, but no, I think this is just gonna be a Netflix what I've been watching. And I have the shows and movies listed in front of me. So just so you know what we're gonna be getting into, it's gonna be Ginny and Georgia season 2, Shadow and Bone, that 90s show, Young Royals, Ever After Happy, the movie, Emily in Paris season 3, and School of Good and Evil, the movie. So I'm trying to put this somewhere where I can see it. Let's start with Ginny and Georgia. So I know Ginny and Georgia is the show that the internet loves to hate because of that terrible scene in season 1, where Ginny said the thing about like the oppression Olympics and whatever, and everyone was like, oh my gosh, this cannot be a real scene. It was. And yeah, there's cringy moments. Obviously, duh, Ginny's a teenager. Like, we all had cringy moments when we were teenagers. Duh. But I really liked season 2, and I think this show's a lot better than people give credit to. I think part of the reason people are so haterish about it is honestly because it's the coming age story of a young girl who's culturally different, and I think people aren't really ready to embrace that type of story yet. Like, we had it in Euphoria with Rue, but even in Euphoria, I don't think it was the same, because in Euphoria, Rue's mother was also black, whereas in Ginny and Georgia, Ginny's mother is a blonde Southern belle, basically, and there is no one to really understand her cultural experience. Her dad is gone a lot. I mean, her mother literally took her from her dad for a year and ran off with no explanation. So she really didn't have that cultural support growing up from people who looked like her or people in her culture. So I think that's one thing that makes people not really ready to hear the story, because I think people don't really like acknowledging that. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It definitely reminded me of my teenage angst and the angst that I still have to this day. I thought the actress who plays Ginny was phenomenal this season. She deals with a lot of anxiety and shame and guilt and carrying around things that her mother has done that she doesn't know how to let go, and that she feels like if her mother did it, then she must have done it too, because she came from her mother, and she just feels very tied to what her mother has done. And her mother very much enforces the idea that I've done these things to protect you and your sibling. So she carries around all this guilt and shame about things she's done that she hasn't even done, but the weight has fallen to her because her mother is not dealing with these things and facing repercussions or consequences for these things. So I think it was really well done. I think the actress who played Ginny was phenomenal, because she would literally like shake when she was having arguments with her mother, or after her mother would leave. you would see the emotion on her face, she would be shaking, and then she would rely on very unhealthy coping mechanisms similar to Rue in Euphoria to release some of the agony she was feeling. And so I thought the actress did a phenomenal job, the literally like shaking a little bit after having these heated, toxic, hurtful, just unfathomable conversations with her mom. I thought the actress portrayed it perfectly. That's a very realistic thing for your body to literally be shaking and for you to not feel like you can even let out the agony you're in. And unfortunately, in those situations, people often do turn to those unhealthy coping mechanisms, what am I saying, to let that out. That's a very common response to that. And so I was actually really glad that the show shows that. And I also thought it was well done, and also so frustrating how her mom was completely oblivious. Her daughter would literally be, just in such distress after these conversations. She would just be shaking and just needing a way to release all this pain, and her mom was completely oblivious, which is what happens in real life, unfortunately. So I thought the topics they touched on were very important, and they didn't do it in a preachy way. They just did it in a very, as far as the weight that children face from things their parents have done, they just did it in a very, realistic way. One thing I hate in the aftermath and the effects of this show and society's response to a show like this is I hate how much people sort of just want to make fun of her as the angsty teenager without realizing the weight of what she is experiencing with these situations and with the effects of childhood trauma and all those things. It seems people and we as a society aren't ready to have those conversations because the response people have to a kid facing that much pain and being witness to that much trauma and whatnot, the response that I see from society towards that is very disappointing and kind of scary. And then it also bothers me how much people love Georgia, because I understand that she thinks she's trying to protect her kids by doing all these things, but she literally took her daughter from her father for a year when he wanted to be there. He was a good dad. The second time she murdered someone, spoiler alert, her killing them didn't make sense. You would think that she would take the children or, something like that to that effect, especially knowing that that man had a whole other family that obviously was not going to just let his death go over like that, his strange death go over like that. You would think she would have just taken the kids to put them in a safer environment instead of taking matters into her own hand of how she thought the man should come to, So it was just very weird. Her decisions just were very weird. She always did the strangest thing. Also with the second murder, I also wonder if she killed that man because she knew he was leaving a lot of money behind. I wonder if it was less about the protecting her kids that she made it seem like, and more about that she knew it also just afford her with a lot. Because let's face it, Georgia was not an innocent angel. She definitely was looking out for herself a lot of the times. She has her children in debt and their credit scores plummeted because she had to use that in another one of her schemes. It's just ridiculous the route she takes. That will follow her children around forever, especially Ginny, who already has socioeconomic disadvantages because of what she looks like and prejudices there. I also hated how she talked to Marcus. My foot's falling asleep. But I also hated how she talked to Marcus. We find out after that episode that he deals with severe depression at times, and she basically tells him that he's nothing, that he's a bum, and that he'll be holding back her daughter if he stays with her, even though Marcus is actually the only one who has known the struggles that Ginny's been going through. He's the only one she trusted with that information and those hurts, and he was the one source of support she had going through all these things. Her mother not knowing any of that and not being able to comfort her daughter at all in any of those areas, then goes and sabotages the one supportive relationship she has in her life, and tells the boy that he's basically a bum and he'll be holding her daughter back. Then a few episodes later, we see Marcus spiral back into a depression, and I can't help but suspect that Georgia's condescending talk with him may have triggered that and triggered an episode coming on like that. I did love the way they portrayed Marcus's depression. I thought it was akin to Rue's depression portrayal in Euphoria. I loved the scene of him walking through the halls and Ginny not really noticing that anything's different, or him lying in the bed with her and them having an intimate moment, and then Ginny still being all excited from it, and he's just looking up with a blank expression, and then when she talks to him, he has to try to pull himself out of it and like smile, agree, whatever, but he's very much just feeling very just disassociated, not there, whatever. I also loved his quote when he said, being loved takes work too. I think we don't always talk about that, how we feel pressure to be our best selves or not a burden for people, and how it's hard for us to be vulnerable sometimes because we know that we're going through something and we don't want the effects of that to splash out onto the other people's lives as well. I pretty much just loved the entire monologue he did about depression. Honestly, I wish I had the whole thing written down because it was just very, very true to the feeling of when you are in an episode. And yeah, it was just very well done, I thought. So yeah, George's love interests, I don't know. Oh, let me go back to Marcus for a second. With that being said, his relationship with Ginny there were a lot of mixed signals. So there were times where I was kind of like, stop being a douche, Marcus. But at the end of the day, he was probably the most supportive person she had in her life. And Ginny also made it about her when he was going through his depression. She didn't know what it was he was going through, but she kind of made it about herself, maybe unknowingly. So that was just a reminder that she's imperfect and she's human and she's struggling too, and she made it about her when it should have been not that. But you know, it's understandable. People are human and don't see what others are going through at times. But yeah, George's love interests, I don't know. I know a lot of people really love Joe. I don't know. He's not really giving what needs to be gave yet, in my opinion. It's cute. She met him when she was younger. Like, that's very cute. Long lost something story. They never were lovers or friends, though. They just had a cute moment when they were younger. So, like, it's not giving as much for me as other people seem to think it's giving. I do like his sort of parental role with Ginny, though. I also kind of even shipped him with the girl whose husband died, though. Like, the way they both were kind of, like, into other people, but kind of got together. I don't know. I feel like that could be the budding of a romance. Paul, I actually really liked. He really wanted to step into that role for Ginny. And her brother, whose name I'm blanking on right now, he was ready to support them and still love them, even though all these ridiculous things Georgia had done. So I actually really like Paul this far. But in season 3, I wouldn't be surprised if they uncover a horrible past from him or something. Because realistically, why would you be with someone knowing some of those awful things they did, unless you also did some awful things? So I'm a little sus. We'll have to see Paul's past in season 3, hopefully. But as of right now, I like him. And then Jenny's dad, I like him too, but I also hate him because I'm like, how can you not see that your daughter's in this much pain and that she's literally like in danger living with her mother? Like, why would you let go that easy when her mother insists she lives with her? Like, I know your feelings for her mother are clouding your judgment and you don't want to get messy, get courts involved, etc. But like, your daughter is literally hurting herself because of the pain she's in living with her mother, and you're just oblivious to it, and you just think it's okay for her to keep living in that environment. So I kind of hate him, even though he's a good guy and he really loves Jenny and whatever. So all in all, I thought season 2 was really good, probably better than season 1, although it's been so long since I've seen season 1, so I should rewatch. But yeah, 15 minutes talking about that. Wow. But yeah, I really enjoyed season 2, and I thought they touched on some very important topics and actually did it well. And next, let's take a sip of water. Next, Shadow and Bone. I loved this show. It's like a fantasy, YA fantasy fiction-y show. I have not read the books, and now I need to because it was so well done. It has Prince Caspian from the Narnia series playing, what was his name? I can't even think of his name, but playing the lead general. Do they call him the Black General or something for like the King's Army and whatnot? So they have him playing this role, and I loved seeing him on the screen again because I haven't seen him in anything since Prince Caspian. He's a very good looking guy, okay? But yeah, I loved seeing him on the screen again. He has a very like emo, dark, brooding character. I thought like the setup, however they did it, I don't know, with like the smoke, the cinematography, graphics, whatever, how he would literally make like black clouds appear around him as he would start getting angrier. Like the presence was just done so well. It was so cool to see on the screen. I loved it. And then the main character and Mal, why am I blinking on the main character's name too? I don't know. But her and Mal were so cute. Their friendship was like so pure. And the flashbacks of them like running through the fields and stuff like that was done so well. It very much gave me like the pure feeling of like when you're watching certain scenes in Pride and Prejudice where there's like the nature pans and stuff like that. It was just very nostalgic. Like you just felt the nostalgia and the just pure friend love like so overwhelmingly. Like it was just done so well. I can't even describe it, but I loved it so much. And yeah, then the pool tug, you trying to figure out what happens or what's happening. Then the twist is like whoa, I kind of hate it because of who it involves and what it means about them, but also kind of love it because it's such a big twist and it's like, oh my goodness. But yeah, loved the show. Now I definitely need to read the books. Another sip of water. Okay, that 90s show, a sort of a reunion, if you will, of that 70s show, which played all the time, every day, on every channel when I was a kid. So the nostalgia, the first moment Eric walked through the door. Oh my freaking gosh, I was so excited. I was like, literally my childhood. Seeing Donna again, she was so pretty. I always loved Donna so much. When Jackie comes on the screen and it's like same old Jackie, Kelso, same old Kelso. Them having Kelso's son incorporated so heavily is so cool. The hair perfect. You can totally believe he was his son. The kid who was like the height of the group, who was very much like just always had like a sarcastic jab to say, but was also literally like the funniest character. Loved him. Red's gone a little soft, which personally I like because I didn't like how mean he was in the original series. Kitty's still Miss Kitty. Fez, when Fez came on the screen with the hair swoop, like I was like, oh my gosh, like I was shooketh. Yeah, it just made me so happy. The slap bracelets, like there were so many things from my childhood and nostalgia that were just so nostalgic, so nice. I think a lot of the 90s trends went into the early 2000s and 2010s. So like the emo screamo music, the slap bracelets, the jean, the sort of grunge looks, like all that was just so nostalgic. And yeah, I loved it. I watched it a little by little all last week, and it made me so happy. Love, 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 love. So yeah, made me very happy. Okay, sip of water. Young Royals. This is a Swedish show, so at first I turned it on and then I turned it off because I'm like, I don't really like watching it. What is it, dubbed or whatever? I don't know where they put the English voiceover, but the lips don't match. And then I put it back on and put it where it's them talking in Swedish, but they're like the subtitles are in English. And then I actually could follow along pretty well because I already watch shows with subtitles a lot. So sometimes I'm already looking at the subtitles instead of at their lips sometimes. So I could actually follow along pretty well that way. And I also liked it because I felt like I was getting more familiar with Swedish words, if that's what it's called. I don't know. It might be like Dutch or something. I don't know. Aren't there different languages for Swedish shows? But yeah. The Prince and Simon, I don't know. It was very cute, their little romance. Here's a train. But the Prince and Simon, it was very cute, their romance. Yeah, there's a lot of pull and push. Sometimes I thought Simon expected too much of the prince. Like, you can't just forgo everything as a prince. But I also got that, like, he didn't want to be, like someone's secret, or he didn't want to be the only one dealing with the effects of being with a royal. I get that. At first, when I watched the show, I turned it off for a minute because the hazing they did to Willie when he first moved to the school was ridiculously unnecessary, and I don't like watching that. So eventually I turned it back on and just skipped through that. But yeah, ridiculous. Willie's cousin August, I hated him at first and still kind of hated him throughout this series, but I think it would be good for them to explore his drug addiction in season 3, which is apparently going to be the final season. And yeah, his relationship with Simon's sister was kind of cute. I don't know. Him buying her the horse was like, aw, but she was done with him at that point because he was still going after her brother and the prince. Like, how did he not realize how messed up that would be? That's her brother. So I don't know, he was really obnoxious and annoying, and I couldn't stand him a lot of the show. But he also, you could see, was conflicted and had a lot of weight on him, and his eyes, you could see he always felt so much pressure. So I don't know, it's one of those characters that like you hate but you also feel for so much. It's like a villain, but he's also pitiful, so you feel bad for him, and he doesn't mean to do all this stuff, but he still does it. So it's like, it's hard to pinpoint how you feel about him, at least for me it is. But yeah, honestly, given how his dad died, I thought at the end where they dropped the shooting gun by him and left after telling him what a piece of work he was, I thought he was honestly gonna like off himself in that scene. I'm glad he didn't, but I really thought that's where they were taking it for a second, and I was about to be so sad. So I don't know, hopefully we see a lot of character growth from him in season 3 because he needs it, child. But yeah, I don't know, it's very interesting. I hated what they did with Eric. Like, that's one thing I've been hearing about lately is when shows and books put unnecessary trauma in just to make the plot more interesting. It's like, did they really have to do that? Willie needed that support. And Eric was just so cool. So I hated that they did that. But yeah, overall, it's a very dramatic, like if you like very dramatic school stories like Gossip Girl, Teen Wolf, I don't know, just very dramatic school shows or royal shows, then you will most likely really like that. So if you can watch it in dub or something, give it a try, you might like it. Ever After Happy, the movie. This is a movie in the After series. Which apparently was like a Wattpad fiction turned into movie, and apparently the Wattpad was kind of based on someone's obsession with Harry Styles or something. Did I hear that right? I don't know, it's very weird. And this is like the 3rd movie in this series, and it's like the movies are so bad, but you have to watch them. It's like you're watching them and you're like, ew, but like you can't look away. Like it's very just weird. Like they suck you in with this ridiculous romance where it's like it's such a toxic couple, but like you keep watching it. It's so weird and so hard to describe. I remember I watched the first and second movie like way back when. I would watch the first movie I think by myself, and then the second movie with like a friend or something. And I remember in the second movie kind of being like, I don't know, I just remember being very like annoyed with the girl. I remember she would like tell him like, oh no, we shouldn't be together, you're such a piece of shit. And then she would like seduce him and like be all over him, and they'd like end up like banging, and I'm like, well, that's so not cool, you know, he's like in love with you, why are you like, you're such a piece of shit, like I hate you, we shouldn't be together. But here, like, I was just like, I get human emotions are unpredictable and don't make sense, and like sometimes you think someone's bad for you but you go for them anyways. I get it, but it was just like so weird to watch, and I was just like so over it. So I was so annoyed with her in the second movie. Third movie though, I was much more upset with him because he was being so like red flag after red flag after red flag after red flag, and it almost makes me want to rewatch the first 2 movies to see what I probably missed there before because of my annoyance with that. And now that I'm in a different headspace, different age, whatever, I think it would be interesting to see if I still feel the same way I did when I watched those movies. But yeah, the third movie, he had me so upset. Like when he lashed out about, like, it was just very weird. Both of them just used like sex to like smooth over things all the time, and it was just very toxic. When he like lashed out that she said she had a crush on him, that she had a crush on this guy like way back when he like pushed her into saying it, and then he like got up and left, and she's like, it was just very like he lured her into saying that once upon a time she had a crush on this guy. And then he just like took a hold of it and took it as an excuse to be a jerk to her again. He would just lash out on her a lot, was very hot and cold. The mentors that they looked up to had a similar relationship to theirs, and you could see like possibly what their future could be like of this woman getting hurt continuously in this relationship with this man who was cheating on her, etc. it just did not look like they had a very good future based on their mentors and how they described how they had had the same relationship. Yeah, the big reveal at the end, I hated how they told him at a bar, like, are you dumb? He's an alcoholic. Like, they wanted him to go over the edge at that point. It was just so weird. He was very sweet with her dad though, which I really appreciated, since her dad was like homeless, and he originally didn't like the dad because he was like, he's just here to hurt you again, he's just here to leave again. And she's like, well, you're not really one to talk. And then him and the dad kind of bond. He gives the dad a place to stay, and yeah, I really liked how sweet he was with her dad after that. But yeah, overall the whole movie was like a train wreck. It's like you don't want to watch but you can't look away. Like, it was just very ridiculous. How did he have the dream and know that the waiter was gonna be like a thing with her? I want to know. Is he like psychic, or what's his insecurity just creating a self-fulfilled prophecy? I don't know. But waiter dude was kind of cute, and he was a major douche to the waiter for no reason. That's another thing. Why did he want her to suspect that he was still like flirting and into the girl? Like, why would you knowingly want to mislead your partner into having doubts about you and your relationship? Like, he was just incredibly toxic. But I did appreciate that at the end of the movie, she basically says, I can't blame it all on you. I've been like toxic to you. I don't think she said that, but she said something about like some stuff she's done as well. And I appreciated that, because I was kind of over the like fawning, woe is me, he's so terrible, but I'm with him type thing. I was kind of over it. So I was glad that she did take accountability of her part in the push-pull as well towards the end of the movie. But yeah, I think there's one final movie coming out. Hopefully they'll do something of note and maybe rectify some stuff, because the whole series has been a mess, child. And the sex scenes, very steamy, so be forewarned, be prepared if you watch it. But yeah. Okay, second to last, we have Emily in Paris season 3. This is the only one on the list that I have not finished yet. I'm like 2 episodes away from the end, and I have been told that the last 2 episodes are what makes the season. So I hope it does, because this season has bored the hell out of me. Like, it is. I'm so tired of the Gabrielle, Kemi, new love interest who will be here for 2 seconds. Like, I'm so tired of it. Emily and Gabriel get together. Like, this is annoying at this point. Why is it 30 seasons of the back and forth? One of the love interests they gave 2 seconds. Another love interest, I don't even remember how they got rid of. Now there's Alfie, who's actually like a worthy love interest and could definitely work. But Gabriel is still in the picture. Now Cammy's cheating on him. So it's like, now Emily feels bad for Gabriel. That's going to pull them closer. Like, I'm over it. I'm like, just get together already. Like, the fun frilliness of the first 2 seasons, I feel like, is not coming out as much for me in the last season. Maybe I'm kind of just overseeing it at this point, which is sad, because I really enjoyed the show. I really loved it because it is a fairly light show and we don't have a lot of those. So I'm really bummed with season 3 so far, and hopefully they can make some magic happen the last 2 episodes, because I am bored into sleep with it right now. And last but not least, The School of Good and Evil. I watched the movie and now I want to read the books for it. I thought it was pretty well done. I really liked the idea of like, can the like supposedly like good heroes in fairy tales actually be like morally bad, like by the way they like kill people and the things they uphold and what they're willing to do to reach the end and like win and triumph. I really liked that theme. I liked how the morals begin to blur and gray a little bit. You saw some of the villains were maybe acting more honest than the like School of Good. I will say, why do they always make the like bad character be like wearing eyeshadow? Like the guy who was the head of the school of evil with the eyeshadow. Like I've noticed they do that a lot. Like in Sandman, who was it? Whichever sibling it was who was a freaking jerk was wearing like the dramatic eyeshadow look. It's like, why do they always portray the bad guy as the person who glams? Like, but yeah, I really liked it. I was not expecting the twist. Like, I could tell something was off, and I think if I had been reading more into stuff, I would have caught it, but I didn't. So I actually really liked that because I love when something can surprise me. I'm usually trying to figure out stuff. So I liked that that surprised me and that I didn't see the twist coming. Now I really want to read the books, and I'm also very curious about what's going on at the end, since there's the arrow and, you know, whatever. I thought it was kind of unnecessary for them both to go back, but like, whatever. But yeah, that's my thoughts. So yeah, guys, let me know if you've seen any of these and what your thoughts were them in the comments down below, or if these sound like things you would like or dislike and why. I hope you could enjoy this video, and I hope to see you in my next one. Bye.